Welcome to the casting couch. I'm Kyle Lowe, and this is Horny McGee.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Also known as Atty Boy.
No!
Hi guys, I'm Kylo. Chewie couldn't be here today, so I'm taking over for this episode of Hot Takes. Now, this episode's very important for fursuiters and fursuit handlers alike, so if you know somebody that would be able to use this information, please pass it around. We are talking about heat stroke and heat exhaustion, two very prevalent things in the furry fandom, and I brought Atty, who suffered heat stroke on the first time suiting.
Hello! Well, kind of heat stroke.
Kind of. It's close enough.
It was rough.
But, so you obviously, as a kimono suitor, have dealt with at least heat exhaustion more than a lot of other suitors, because you really only have one way of air access, while a lot of us have a bit more ways to cool our bodies down.
Yeah, like you don't have any eye ventilation, and usually since the mouth is so small with mine, when I breathe out, the hot air just like kind of comes back onto my face.
So, what would you say, what's the feelings of heat exhaustion? Like, what starts happening to you?
Well, usually, for me personally, I know, like, when I'm too dehydrated or something, I'm gonna faint. So what's the first sign with me is I'll be, like, walking around, whatever, and my limbs will start to feel, like, tingly and disconnected, and your brain feels like, your head feels really light, like, literally lightheaded. And since I have, like, a medical record of just fainting a lot, so I know the signs early. So, let's see, like, this was at MFF when I started. I went down the hallway of death. I started getting like really like, ooh, I'm gonna faint. So I had to de-suit in the middle of the con. Otherwise, you know, I'm just gonna collapse in it. But yeah, like, their first priority is usually try to get on the ground if you're gonna faint.
Yeah.
It's gonna, one, save you from getting injured, and two, like, be out of your suit, get on the ground, because if you faint in suit, that can cause more problems, which we will talk about in a later video about getting somebody out of a suit after they fainted from heat exhaustion and whatnot.
So, you went real fast from heat exhaustion to heat stroke.
I mean...
But like, with your suit, that's very quick. It's harder to notice because it's happening so much faster.
Oh, yeah, like,
well, with a fursuiter like me, it'll take an extra hour before that sets in. With you, it's a fast step.
It depends on the person as well.
That's also
you
true.
have very good heat tolerance, like you're a firefighter.
Yes.
Whereas me, I'll just be sitting on the couch and be like, oh, I'm kind of sweaty. Like, I overheat real fast.
Speaking of which, happy June! We're doing this in a hot house!
Woo!
But, so let's get on to what heat exhaustion is. So, a lot of the telltale signs is, as a fursuiter, this is hard to determine whether or not it's from suiting, or if it's from an actual heat exhaustion. The first thing that you get is tunnel vision. So as a fursuiter, you're naturally getting tunnel vision, but then you start noticing like the corners of your eyes darken a little bit. It's harder to pay attention to things. You're sweating like flies. You always feel like you need water, and you went from your explosive, happy self to like kind of like you're a bit tired. Like you want to just go lay down, and you're not sure why you're not as like hyper as you were before. These are all signs of heat exhaustion, and as both a fursuiter and a handler, you should be trying to look out for these and making sure that they take enough breaks and cool down enough that they are regulating their body temperature. At this certain phase, everything will be fine if they just cool down and nothing's wrong. But when we get into heat stroke, this is when things start to go bad, and this is what happened to Atty. So, with heat stroke, to put it simply, your body stops regulating its heat. You stop sweating, you stop regulating your body heat, you kind of your skin starts to get cold because it's not sweating anymore, so like, it's doing its best, but there's no regulation in place. And you probably dealt with that, right? Where you kind of...
I just start to panic right away, because I knew my priority was like, I'm gonna faint, I gotta get somewhere. So I had to de-suit in the con. I carried my whole entire suit into the bathroom, threw it on the floor, and just like knocked out.
And this is a public bathroom too,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I was in the corner handicap stall laying on my suit, and I had to wait there until my handler could come get me.
You see, it might have been a little better for you if you didn't lay on your suit. The first step to helping somebody with heat stroke is cooling them down immediately. Do not give them water. your main focus should be lowering their body temperature, because right now their body is...
This is only for stroke, though.
For stroke.
So, like, if they're heat exhaustion, drink water.
Drink water.
But
this is specifically for
emergency
heat stroke.
situation.
Water does not help because their body is not regulating their body temperature whatsoever. You need to get them cooled down enough first that they are able to take water and actually have it start filtering through and sweating again. Usually, if this occurs, Addie, you should actually call an ambulance. Now,
I'm used to it for myself. I knew what happened. I've like fainted from heat before, so I knew how to take care of myself in that situation.
Yes.
I just knew that I had like a limited amount of time before I was going to collapse. So for me, I'm always like, I don't want to inconvenience anyone. As long as I can get to a private area, I will be fine.
I could die alone in a cold room.
I just don't want to make anyone else panic from something that I'm like, it's fine, this happens.
Both the CDC and OSHA recommend calling a emergency personnel so that they can help treat them, and lowering activity for the rest of the day. So if you get heat stroke, do not fursuit again.
Totally remembered this, but at Anthrocon, I won't say their name, somebody who was staying in her room went on the fursuit cruise. It was very hot. It is July. You were in Pittsburgh. Hot. They were out there. They were like kind of just hanging out, and they're like, ugh, too hot. Later on that night, they were out with a restaurant with some of the other people in our room, and they're like, I really don't feel good. And they were just vomiting nonstop. Had to go to a hospital, get IVs and stuff, and it was from overheating. But it didn't happen until like way later in the day.
Heat stroke does later on add nausea, and I wasn't going to add that, but since you brought it up, that's a really good point. Another onset of heat stroke can be nausea, but due to the type of heat stroke that fursuiters deal with, it usually doesn't show up. But since it was extended over a long period of time, it might have heightened it.
Oh yeah, like they just kind of overdid it.
Yeah. So
at the end they just gave out.
Even if you get like very bad heat exhaustion, you shouldn't suit for the rest of the day. If you're not taking care of yourself during that times that you need to, after that there's a critical point where you shouldn't anymore. And both as a handler and a suitor, these are things that you should be looking out for every time that your person goes out suiting, you go out suiting. Make sure that your body is circulating heat. Make sure you're drinking water to cool yourself down. Make sure you're getting periods where you're cooling your body down. That's what headless lounges are for.
Oh, yeah.
That's what breaks are for.
When I suit, I take off my head every 20 minutes or so just to get a quick breath, and then there's no way I can't just marathon suit.
Yeah. I used to marathon suit, and nowadays it's a good idea to take a break.
Chill for a second.
Take a break, get a breath, go to a hidden corner and just take your suit head off for a second and just chill. But take care of yourself. And that's the important thing about a lot of these hot takes, is protecting you, protecting who you love or who you're with. It's all about safety, and that's what we're here for. Anything else you'd like to say then before we finish this off for the night?
I was gonna say, for me personally, what I noticed has helped is when I did faint and stuff, that night I didn't get a lot of sleep. I didn't eat very much in the morning. I was just chugging water right away instead of just letting my body hydrate at a normal pace. So it's always make sure your body is up for doing something strenuous. You wouldn't go on a mile run on an empty stomach kind of thing. So just make sure that you are fully charged before you do a strenuous activity like fursuiting.
And fursuiting is an extremely strenuous activity. If you're not trained for it, you're carrying around an extra 5-6 pounds of weight, which doesn't sound like much, but it adds up over time. Imagine carrying a 5-pound weight and just carrying it around for the day. At what point does that start hurting your arm? You can only do it for so long before it starts to affect you, and that extra strain is noticeable. As a firefighter, 50 pounds on my back isn't noticeable for the first 20 minutes. Then suddenly my shoulders start hurting from holding all the weight. But it's gradual, it's over time. So take care of yourself, make sure you're ready to do this, and be safe. Hopefully that this information will help you, and I'd like to thank you so much for coming on and helping me with this. It's really great to actually get a first-person perspective from someone who's kind of suffered it.
Who was stupid.
Because, I've always been for high heat tolerance.
Yeah.
So, have you ever had a heat exhaustion, heat stroke? do you know what to do now? What's your
Tell
stories?
us your stories in the
Yeah,
comments.
I love reading stories.
Educate.
The last hot take, I had some really good stories about people where you guys had your fire extinguishers. Some people mentioned, I didn't mention the differences between a CO2, a liquid, and a gas fire extinguisher. Usually you'll be using chemical fire extinguishers, so don't worry about it too much, but the others exist, and that's per
I like how
different
you
one.
carried old video into new video.
Well, these are a series.
Okay.
But yeah, tell us your stories about heat stroke, heat exhaustion, and thank you guys so much for watching. Share it around. We want to make sure that this knowledge is known to as many people as possible in the community. And we will see you guys next time. Have a good night.
Matane.
Bye.